Everyone, happy Friday. I hope you're having a good day. We had an epic little bit of a dump yesterday on the PPI news, and everybody's wondering if this is a buy the dip moment. So I'm coming to you on a Friday to go over that, to have a look at what the charts are telling us right now, and see where we end up. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. One thing just to be a bit clear, Fridays are unscripted, live. I haven't looked at the charts at all. I purposely do that so that we can chart live together. So today I'll be looking over whatever you guys want me to look over. Of course, we'll go over Bitcoin first because that matters. And then we'll have a look at other things and just see where we end up. So smash the likes nice and early. It helps to get the video around the internet and show people that we are here live and going through your requests. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing as well. So how's everyone doing today? I can see D in the chat, Damien, Anna. Who else have we got? Eltech, Pavan's here. How you doing, Pavan? I think you're still on holidays, aren't you? Enjoying the Spanish life. Viviana, Mike, Philip. Awesome to see all of you guys here. So I want to talk about Bitcoin first, because like I said, we always need to know what Bitcoin's doing regardless of what we want to trade. And then we will move on to some other things. So let me first start from the top down with Bitcoin. We're going to have a look at the daily chart. And one thing I just want to point out about the daily chart is that, yes, we had this little bit of a pump, in early this week, and then we had a sell-off yesterday. But at the end of the day, if you have a look at the candle closes of that move, it really did just solidify the daily range high. So the candle closes here only came back to the prior high wick. And so I still am of the belief that Bitcoin is in a summer chop. And look, when you're trading this on small time frames, it can feel like massive moves. But when you zoom out, there's really not a lot happening. Like if we go back to the last summer period, we chopped here between June to September, like right until the end of September, before Bitcoin actually changed trend and then continued up to the upside. And we chopped in like a 30% range. So that's pretty significant. And if we go back to have a look at the price now from, let's say, where was June? So June was around this level here, and we measure that out from that low to the current high, it's a 22% range. So yeah, look, and what are we in? We're halfway through August. They often say that we get corrections in September. So look, I don't know. I still think we're in some chop until we actually break out of this daily range high. Then things will change from that point on. We do have some pretty large liquidity. Now, I've adjusted this from prior charts because things have changed. So that's what you do. But 124,600 to about 131,400 is the current immediate high range of liquidity above the daily range high. But then there's also this lot down here that is towards the range low between 103 to 107. So my thing is that if we're in the summer chop, like let's go back again and just have a look at this last price action here. If we're in the summer chop, like see how we range for a really long period of time, and then only towards the end of that range, which we don't know that's coming, right? We don't know as retail traders, but the market makers know when they've accumulated enough positions in this chop. And then before they make their final move, they do the final trap, which is why we saw this wick down here. So what I'm trying to tell you is, whilst we're in this range now, and currently Bitcoin's holding between 112 and 123, I think you should still be prepared for it to come back down to the range low at some point in this month, next month, into October. Now, may not happen, but it can't hurt you to be prepared in the event that it does happen. So yeah, that's why I don't mind, like my long positions are opened. If you've been watching this channel for a while, that's where we got positions in that chop, and then in this chop here we got them again. So most of our long-term positions from this channel are when Bitcoin came back to this 76k region. So if Bitcoin retraced back to 100k, let's say, worst case scenario, it wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't bother me at all, because I don't believe the cycle is over, and I would see that as a really good opportunity to actually add to my 76k longs for the next leg up. So yeah, I'm just telling you to be prepared based on what the daily chart is showing. I'm trying so hard to keep the coughs in. I don't know if you can hear it, but I got to talk a little bit softer because I'll cough less if I talk softer. But yeah, anyway, so a worst case scenario at some point over the next couple of months, be prepared for us to revisit this. In the event that we wouldn't, would be that we break through the daily range high and we come for this upper liquidity. And then there's another zone up here, which is also new at 140 to, oh no, it's not new. That's the old zone at 140 to 142.5. So yeah, what's the positive news here? Nothing yet. Sorry to tell you. So let's go down to a lower time frame then. And this prior thing played out, so we won't talk about it. So is there anything I want to talk about on the 4 hour? It came out, guys. I can't control it. Sorry. Nothing I want to talk about on the 4 hour, but I think for me, when it comes to smaller time frames, the 1 hour time frame on most coins right now has my most interest because it's most obvious. Best stream time for the Aussies, says Emily. I know, I was thinking about this the other day, and actually, funny story, I was telling Pedro, like this channel started in a time zone that was great for Australians because I used to live in Australia, you know, and now that I've moved over here, it's not that I couldn't do streams in the same time that is good for Aussies, but there's usually more views if you go later, which means all my Aussies that have like been so loyal for so long miss out. So that's why I do Fridays at 1 o'clock, is especially for you guys. Cough away, we love the live streams. So yeah, thanks for still being here after all that time. Anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin now, because let me just adjust my settings. What do I want to take off this? Just to make it a little bit cleaner. So I discussed the reversal, I think, already. I don't think I need to. Let's just do it quickly in case. So what happened here was, look, to be honest with you, my TA this week was pretty shit house. I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm really exhausted. I am seriously exhausted and have been forcing doing TA to try and keep up to date with it, when the reality is I should have just been resting. So that's why today we're going to do mostly high time frame stuff, because I rarely get high time frame wrong, but low time frame on a Friday is very, very risky, and I don't want to get you guys in trouble. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was the false move that started the week. Wait, where are we? Broke out to the upside. Now I was actually expecting it to break to the downside. I've already told you that. So that was wrong. And then to me, after this M formation, I was expecting a third drop because I could see the two. We didn't get it. We changed trends. So I was wrong again. So I've like not had a good track record this week, but I did redeem myself here because this was textbook. So this here was, now I wasn't awake for this, but this is a textbook rule of the TBD system if you understand it. And for my Aussie traders, for the people that trade Asia time zone, this would have been a very, very easy trade setup for you guys, because when the dead gap zone runs a trend, more often than not, Asia will reverse that trend. It will take it back. And that's exactly what happened here. And this here is a reversal candlestick formation right at the start of Asia, right off that candle. Because it was a bearish engulfing, you could have taken an entry right there, and you would only have needed to have your stop loss just above this. So that was such an easy trade setup. Even if you waited for the second side, you did get a second chance right here, but you had to be on a low time frame to get it. So that was an easy setup. And then what happened? Then we had the PPI that caused this move to the downside. So now when you look at this, you can again count that this here is a level 1 drop. right? And then through here, wait, really like the motions of my body and the the words in my brain, they're just not connecting right now. They're really just not. I really have overdone it lately. But anyway, I will rest tomorrow. So this is level 2, okay? So according to that, there should be another drop to go, right? But I was wrong the other time when I said that and then it went up. So can we trust me? Well, let's look a little bit deeper. There's a few things that I want to make you aware of. Number one, right now we have 3 rejections of the high of the week. So that's the highest point that price went last week, 119.094. We have 3 rejections there. And this here will be a big high volume imbalance zone. So the key in this range was to see if the range could come back up into this imbalance zone. And at this point in time, it hasn't done that. So Asia has set a 1% range, fine. And now we have basically a triple top at the high of the week, which is pretty bearish, I'm going to tell you, but it may not mean lower than the low of yesterday. We'll investigate that in a second, but this is bearish. Technically, it's bearish. So then we have to think, okay, well, what's coming up that we need to be aware of? Because we need to know that it's Friday and this is where the weekend trap gets set. So either UK or US will trap us in some way into a position with a move that is likely to either reverse or go nowhere over the weekend. So we have to be aware of that. How come every single coin dropped at 10:30 p.m. Australian time? Every single coin in a 5-minute time period at exactly the same time? James Doe, I'm more than happy to answer that. And let's get into a history lesson on price action. So here's the thing that people don't understand. And this is why I always say that the result of the news is irrelevant. Price action will tell you what the result is going to be before the news even comes out, because the markets are about liquidity. And ever since the 1980s, I think it was, the markets have been almost solely driven by algorithms. It's not human traders anymore. Like, it's more than 80%, probably 90%. Okay. So if you think about this logically, exactly what you said, how did everything move in a 5-minute candle? Do you think about your friends who are in crypto who aren't as in crypto as you are, okay? Like, let's just say they've just learned how to download a wallet and buy some Bitcoin. Do you think they're going, need to be around for PPI? Like, they're not. They don't have this knowledge that you have, right? So in order to have price move like that on hundreds of assets at the exact same time, how can humans be the ones triggering that? It can't be. Like, are we all sitting around all over the world with our finger on the sell button at the exact same second? No. The only thing that can act that fast is algorithms. So they react. It's all pre-planned anyway. It was going to happen anyway. We knew that. Like, if you watch my video on, I don't even remember what day, but I think maybe it was yesterday, and I told you I was taking profit on ETH. It was so obvious. The price told me before I needed any news whatsoever. And it turned out that was a good move, right? Now I'll wait and I'll put those profits back in when I feel the time is right, which we'll look at now. But at the end of the day, how do hundreds of coins all move at the exact same second? Because the markets are controlled by algorithms, not humans. That's the answer. And so when you are learning to trade, it doesn't mean you don't have a chance. It means that all these other, I'm really going to get into it now. You started something, my friend. You started something. But all these other, this is what annoys me so much, is that when you first learn to trade, everybody learns the same thing, and I did too, right? So I have this experience. So you first go and you enroll in some trading course, or you see some videos online or whatever, and they're all going to teach you support and resistance, trend line, market structure, triangle, wedge. You know, they teach you all the same thing. Now think about this logically. Think about the markets logically. For every buyer, there has to be a seller. And for every seller, there has to be a buyer. Okay, that's how a transaction needs to happen in order for the price. It runs out on one side, and then depending on the side it runs out, the price will then go up a cent or down a cent, right? And this happens in hundreds of millions of transactions faster than we can even imagine. And this is what is price action, right? So think about this logically. If 100% of the people around the world that learn to trade are taught that a symmetrical triangle after an uptrend leads to a bullish breakout, then wouldn't 100% of people be buying? So who's selling if there has to be a seller on the other side, right? So there's always someone on the other side of the trade, and they're the ones that are matching your order. And then at some point, especially because we all use leverage, we're using borrowed money. Do you know whose money we're borrowing? The people we're trading against. We are borrowing that money. When we use leverage, we are borrowing money from the market maker, and the market maker is the guy on the other side of our trade. Do you think he's going to let you lose his money? No, he will let you go as far enough to lose your own money. And this is why you have liquidation points, right? When you trade futures, and the liquidation protects it so that his money can't get lost, but yours can. And so this is why you have to learn when they've lent out enough money. It's like, this is so logical. When they've lent out enough money that now it's stretched too thin, they've got to take it back. And that's when you see liquidation hunts. That's them taking it back. So it doesn't make logical sense that something like a symmetrical triangle after an uptrend leads to a breakout to the upside all the time, because everybody would do that. Market maker would do that too. And so traditional technical analysis doesn't work, right? Like, it will work in the right parts of like the market maker's model, which is what we trade, right? It'll work in the right parts of it, but your job as a trader is to understand where are the right parts of it, because it will work until it sets up the trap, where it then doesn't work, and that's when you usually get hurt the most. I don't know why I went on that rant, but the moral of the story is that for us, if we want to be good at trading, we have to understand that we're trading against algorithms, not humans. Like, of course, there are still human market makers, but they're controlling the algorithms, right? So we're trading against algorithms, and that doesn't mean we have no chance. That just means we need to understand what the algorithms are coded off, and we need to understand what they're chasing, and all they're ever chasing is liquidity. So if you understand liquidity, you can still win. You don't learn about liquidity when you're taught that a symmetrical triangle breaks out to the upside. The word doesn't even come into a course like that, right? Anyway, let's hope that makes sense. We borrow Annie's money. I wish. If we all stopped buying, it will never crash. Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's go back then, and let's keep going with Bitcoin, because what I wanted to tell you was that we have some news events we have to be aware of that are coming up today. So at 4:30, this is in 3 hours from now, we've got retail sales, which could cause another level. And then we also have consumer sentiment and inflation expectations in more hours than from now. Just whatever. I can't math today. But at 6 p.m. Dubai, we have this. So this will be, let's have a look here. This will be towards the beginning of the US session, and retail sales is at the end of UK. But we have something else a little bit more important than that. So when Bitcoin crashed yesterday, not crashed, but, you know, dropped. Yes, it was on PPI, but it was also on this false news about, let me see if I can find it. Where would I have it? Here somewhere. Here. So this is the now corrected news, but this is where people didn't like what they heard. Originally, what they were saying was that Scott Bessent was saying that they weren't going to be buying Bitcoin anymore, but I think that technically wasn't his words. I think he was saying that they're going to explore other ways to acquire more Bitcoin. So there was this initial like, oh, that's no good. And then it was like, oh, there's more to the story. However, the reason I'm telling you that is because today we also have SEC Chair Paul Atkins discussing Project Crypto. Now, this is going to be at the end of UK today. Right, so at the same time that retail sales comes out. So end of UK, start of US could be quite volatile, and it could be the thing that leads to the level 3 drop, but it also could spike price into this high volume area before you get it. The other thing is, if we get a level 3 drop, I'm not so certain that it will drop price lower. It might just be a high volume move to the downside that maybe creates a double bottom. And the reason why that's a possibility is, let's see if it's still there. If we have a look at these heat map orders, there's very, very large orders at 117,625 and 117,675. Okay, they're significantly large in comparison to any other large orders further down. Now, of course, it depends if price does get there and they actually hold, because that could be a trick, but just be aware that that's where they are right now. Now, to the upside, we had, it's removed a little bit of them, but they're still there at 120,000. So if we go back to the chart and we see where is 120,000, then that's about halfway through the body of this candle. So yeah, look, if any of these news events cause volatility, just be prepared based on the count for a stop hunt, something like that, and then a third level down. But the third level down may not mean a lower low, right? We'll have to wait and see at the time. Again, I'm showing you this small time frame. I don't think it's a good idea to trade today. For me, I really am just looking where to buy dips, and when you're buying dips, it's sort of, you don't have to get the exact bottom. It really doesn't matter. So yeah, the other thing too is I know a lot of people talk about the CME gap. So the thing with the CME gap is, where do you consider it to be closed? Because again, this is a subjective thing with traders, right? So some traders believe that the gap is only closed when a body returns, which means that we've got this much of the gap to go. Other traders believe that it doesn't have to be the body, it can be a wick, which means that we're counting this and there's only this small section to go. Now, in addition to that, other traders believe that close enough is considered closed. So when you're talking about the CME gap, I've seen on the internet people saying it's not fully closed yet. So just know that that's a subjective rule, and don't bank on that, because it doesn't have, well, it depends on how you define the rules of a CME gap. But from what I just explained to you, there could be a lot of traders out there that consider the gap closed because this week came so low. There will be other traders who don't believe it's fully closed yet. And so therefore, it's not my indicator of anything. But when you have a look at the normal chart, so we, instead of looking at the CME gap, because we don't trade CME, right? We say we trade futures over here. So we don't really look at the gap so much. We can tell there's going to be a gap by this gray line right here. So this is built into our indicator, and it's called the US settle price. So what it does is it marks the last closing candle on a Friday, and then usually at some point in the following week, the price will return. Now, not always. It's pretty much like the CME gap. It's like an 80% thing. Like 80% of the time, it will close in the following week. Doesn't have to though, right? So if we have a look at where that was, now none of this price action counts because it was a weekend. So we have to go through and see, has it come back to that gray line this weekend? No, it has this week, sorry. No, it hasn't. So there is still a possibility of that. And where were those orders again? Let me just put them back in. The low orders were at 117. Oh, that just appeared out of nowhere. 117,675. Let me just quickly chuck that back in because I want to see where it is. 117,675 in relation to that gap. And then the other one was this one down here? 117 even. Oh, no, hold on. 117. Okay, so close enough. So if we come down to those 117 orders, it will be close enough. If we only come down to these ones, that's in 2 levels, you would consider that the level 3 was a double bottom. So again, around the news event is best to look for that. If it happened before a news event, I would say still don't take action. Wait till these news events are over before looking for any short-term trades, okay? So that's how I feel about Bitcoin right now. Then Graham PA says, what time do the bars open in Australia? So there's no part of my soul that is a time converter for humans. There are things you can look at online, but I will tell you something that will make it easy for you so that you don't need to ask such a question. What you can do is you can go to indicators and you just type in market session times, and you'll see that there's one here by Trade Travel Chill. That will add these to the bottom of your chart. Well, different settings, but you can muck around and figure it out. It either highlights the background, or you can change it to these dots. And then it doesn't matter where you are in the world, these will always be correct. So you can have your chart time. Can you see? Yes. Your chart times down here, you can have that in your local time zone, and this will still be set to New York time zone. So yeah, you don't need to manually check anything. It's always right. And it's always, this part is always set to New York time. So even when there's daylight savings and all that sort of stuff, you don't have to worry about it. So do that. And then that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay. So Nick says maybe to the settle. Yeah, I kind of got my eyes on the settle or a double bottom personally. Rate cuts will be September. We're going to pump. Well, how many people believe or with you on that right now? Like if that were the thought, this would have been 100% buying the dip opportunity and there would have been a V bottom already, and it hasn't. So again, I do think dips are for buying, but the dip, you want to buy the dip when the dip's finished, not if it has a chance of still dipping further. Do you know what I mean? Okay. When developing your strategy, do you account for news? So yeah, I account for news for timing. So the news is only important to me for timing. So if I'm looking for the false move, I know that's on a Monday, right? If I'm looking for a midweek reversal, I know it's going to be a Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes it's Friday. So then I go and have a look what news events are on these days. And then I get to know, okay, it's more likely that the reversal will happen around the news. So therefore, I don't have to sit and watch charts all day. I just come back to the chart an hour before the news. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say on Bitcoin for now. Now, what else do we want to look at? Let's have a look at the dominances, because Bitcoin dominance is, let's go to the daily, is interesting because it has broken this it could reclaim it at this point because it's only just, but it has broken this long-term downtrend. We want to see continuation of that. For now, there's really not much to say other than it's just a break. But if you go down to the 4-hour time frame, it looks like, you know, lower high, lower low, and then this is potentially building a bear flag. So that would be great if it built a bear flag under the trend line and then we had continuation to the downside. That would be great. So that's what I'd be looking for. Chuck says Rectember is coming. Rectember is opportunity timber then, if it does happen that way. I would welcome it. What else we want to look at? We won't worry about USDT dominance. I think that's fairly obvious. And let's have a look at this. So this obviously shows this is the total minus stable coins and also minus Bitcoin. So this shows that there's, I really should be looking at total 3 instead of this. Let's have a look. Where else do I have total? Let's have a look here at total 3 because I want to have a look at this minus Ethereum. And then let me compare it to this. Okay, so we've got a higher high here. So this chart here is the total 2, which does include Ethereum, but minus stable coins, okay? And then this chart here is total 3, so it doesn't include Ethereum. Also, both of them don't include Bitcoin. So on this one, we've got a double top. So it does show that strength in the total 2 is coming from ETH mostly, but that's okay because at the end of the day, the total 3 is still bullish at this point in time. And again, a pullback is going to be welcome because everybody wants that to buy their alts. So that's fine. I don't see any problems there. I don't really see any problems with the stock market either. S&P is just slowly creeping. Do see some wicks to the upside on the recent daily candles. But at the end of the day, it's a higher high at this point in time. So we don't have to really stress too much about that. So then that leaves us free to talk about Ethereum quickly. So this was where I did the video saying that I was going to take profit 4,700, not full profit, only partial, but I did do that after that video was posted. And yeah, this is where we are now. So I feel the same. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum, this is 15-minute time frame. Ethereum in the new session so far has not broken the initial high of the day. So in an ideal world, what would happen in an ideal world? In an ideal world, we need to take liquidity at one side. Look, here's my thing about Ethereum. I do think that for the purposes of buying the dip, this was an okay area to add to positions, but not fully add to positions, because there is a chance of further downside and you want to then be able to add again there. So the thing, let's actually look at this on a bit of a higher. Let's have a look on the 1 hour. The thing about Ethereum now is this area of interest here. So see, this is the vector candle that, remember, if you remember last Friday, I talked to you about the battle zone and the tug of war. See, this was the tug of war right here. And this was the last candle that the buyers gave up and then price fell away. Now, immediately they've returned. So I did notice last night some people saying, wow, it's bounced back immediately, so strong. But it's not. These are all low volume candles. Okay, and now it's come right to that area of interest. So the problem that we have here right now is that if we put a fib level on ETH for that drop only, it's the 61.8 where it is right now. And if it does come back to the halfway mark of this vector candle, that's the 78.6. So anywhere between where it is now and that halfway point of this candle could lead to another move down. Now, because ETH has been following Elliott wave so beautifully, when we zoom out, you'll see it right on the 1 hour time frame, which was what I told you was one of the other reasons why I took that profit. Then it's a chance that this turns out to be a B, C correction. Again, it doesn't mean dramatic because the retracement so far is to 61.8. So therefore, the C wave could end up just being a double bottom, which would take us back to the low of the day at 44.55. But also I would be prepared for ETH to come back even to 43.31, because that's the high of the week. So that would be a high of the week retest. And it's also the 1 hour 200 EMA. So that's what I would be looking out for on Ethereum. I'm not in a rush to, but the other thing too, actually, I should say, when I said this wouldn't be a bad spot to have bought dips, is because if it turns out that turns out to happen, where this is A, B, C, which in the TBD system means that when price only has 2 drops back to a key area, which this is a key area, it's a very, very bullish. So it would actually be very bullish if price did drop back to the 43 area, okay? 4300. So for me, it's like, okay, now let's just measure this out. So if you bought there and then it came back there and you had staggered buys at both, you would just end up with an average entry here. And I'm talking about like for people on low leverage trades or spot trades even. And it wouldn't matter, because then you'd be expecting probably 6K, maybe ETH next, I don't know, 5.5, 6K. And also, like for me personally, I can only tell you what I'm doing, right? So I don't know, where is my ETH? Where did I get into ETH? I think 2000 and something. So do I care if I buy a bit more here, if I put those profits back in here and then put more of them back in here when my original entry is 2K? I don't care. I don't care, not one bit. So that's my plan anyway for ETH. I'm not trying to pick it exactly. I think it's better to be in it than not, and that's my plan. Cartel says I already took full profits. Good, man. Like this, like that's what we want to do, right? We don't make money in this market unless we actually secure the bag. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Is there any things that you guys want me to have a look at, let me know in the chat. While you do, I just want to have a look quickly at this liquidity chart for Bitcoin. So again, the liquidity here is at 106, the highest amount of liquidity, I should say, is at 116,712. And then if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, 116,712, where's that? 116 is around here. So it would be 116,712. It would definitely take out that US settle if we were to come down there. So yeah, that would be good. Anyway, wipe it. That would make sense to me. I would actually quite welcome that if it came down, took out this high level of liquidity. Yeah, you guys can see that. And then we reverse, but not saying that's a today thing. Okay, let me see. Solana. All right, let's talk about Solana, because Solana I got really wrong this week. And I didn't realize that it was really close to a ETF approval. But I actually don't think that my idea is not a thing to happen yet, to be honest with you. So let's talk about this in detail. So I think I was on the 4 hour. I've removed it now, so I'm not 100% sure. But I didn't like Solana, and I still don't particularly like it because of this. It's a bear flag on the daily. It is technically a bear flag on the daily. There's no denying that. And so for me, when it's got, let's have a look at this liquidity. Let's refresh it and see if it's still the case. Yeah, it is still the case. See how, like, that's the brightest level. Like, I'm probably going to add, let me add as well, but that's the brightest level of liquidity. And then I would also keep an eye on this zone here. Okay, so that's undeniable. You guys can see it with your own eyes. The largest liquidity on Solana is below price. Now, let me get rid of it now. So then I went down to the 4 hour because I will be bullish on Solana if it took the liquidity, but I'm just not bullish right now. Well, I wasn't because of that. Exactly what I just showed you. I trade data and facts, not emotions and, I don't know, loyalty to a coin, which seems crazy to me. But anyway, so this was at the time, this was the vector candle that was my area of interest. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm missing something. Hang on. Here. What is going on, Anastasia? Hang on, I have to use my brain for a second. Here, okay. So this was my area of interest when price was creeping up here, okay? And look, for a little while, it's right? Because we did have a double top at that area of liquidity. But in my ideal world, I wanted to see Solana come up, create the lower high here, and then come down for this liquidity. And that's where I would have got excited to get into Solana again. Obviously, that didn't happen, and it broke right through that zone. However, it only just created a double top on the daily EQ level. So again, if I go back to the daily, look where it rejected again, right? Is right here. Now, like I said, I think there's news that it is very close to a potential, or one of the ETFs is very close to potential approval. But and if that one is approved, it may get approved with staking. Now, if that were to happen, yes, Solana would break this pattern and it would fly. And so that's fine. If that's what happens, then I'll change my bias. But as a technical analyst, right now, I still would like to see Solana come down before it goes up. And that's where I see opportunity, because if it breaks out to the upside here, now I'm not going to lie to you, I'm in a long position on Solana. I'm in a long position, but I'm looking to get a better, not get a better, because I won't get a better. I have a very low entry to add to that position, okay? But I can't add to it on this higher low when I see this liquidity down here, right? That doesn't make sense. Or I can't add to it here when I see this liquidity. It just doesn't make logical sense to me. So what I would personally need to see now is I might actually adjust this a little bit, but I would personally like to see Solana reject again. So this is now 1, 2, 3 rejections. After 3 rejections, you look for a higher low. And then if you get the higher low, that's when you anticipate it will break out to the upside. So in a perfect world for me personally, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just telling you how I would trade this because of the technical analysis. And if something else happens, it doesn't matter to me because I will be trading other things that are more obvious to me. But in this case, my criteria would be that it actually at least comes down into this zone, creates the higher low if I'm sorry, if I'm to remain bullish for long term, and then break out next. The other reason why I like that is because this yellow line is the 200 EMA. So by the time that happened, the 200 EMA would likely do that. And with the, I think the approval process might be a week or so away. That's enough time for that to happen. So if Solana was to break out instead from here and just go for it, there's no entry for me because the risk to reward is crap. That's why I'm saying don't get emotional and think I don't like Solana as a coin. I don't have emotions towards coins. As a chart, I don't like it unless I can get a cheaper price. So I hope that's clear. And that's what I was waiting for this week, which didn't happen. But like I said, I don't think this chart is technically wrong yet because it hasn't actually broken the daily level. And like I said, if it breaks it to the upside, it's not a good risk to reward for me to get involved. But if it comes down first, this is where I would get more excited to play the game. So that level is about 170 to 175. Now, if it did create the higher low there, then I would expect this liquidity is going to get left behind, just to be clear, because it's maintaining the structure. So I hope that clears that up anyway. Where is the TTC settlement indicator? It's in those. So that indicator, this one here that you're seeing, it comes with our TTC membership. So you can only get that one if you are a TTC member. Okay, I can see a lot of people are asking for Link and AVAX. So let's have a look at them. Hang on a second. Okay. I mean, what can I say? At the end of the day, it's got another rise to go at a minimum before there's any like serious correction. So pullback is welcome. It's very obvious. Here's your W, here's your rise, here's your pullback, here's your level 2, pullback level 3. So you would really just be targeting somewhere above the last high. That would be a perfect area actually. Like look how many times it's been support and resistance in the past. Might not come all the way back there. I don't know. Let's go have a look at a smaller time frame. Actually, I don't like the 4 hour right now. I like the 1 hour. So the 1 hour even, you can see how Link gave you the perfect levels here, right? So this was a peak formation low, level 1 here into level 2, which was very significant level 2, pull back into level 3, and then it gave you a reversal pattern here for the pullback that we're now seeing. So let's see where, what do I want to see? Let's see this one. Hang on, let me see one more thing. Guys, if you're enjoying this video, be sure to smash the like button if you haven't already. Let me check those likes in a second. Okay. And oh, okay, yeah. I would really like Link in this level. If Link completed its move to the downside here, I would get interested at that point in time. So that is 20.4 to 20.9. Do I need to explain it to you or does it make sense already? I should. I'm being lazy. I'll tell you why I like it. So first of all, you can see that there's a very large pocket of liquidity there. Second of all, it's above the key area that I told you to look out for. Third of all, when you take your fibs and you draw it from the high here to the current low of this wick here, the current retracement, and this is on the provision that the lower high is to the 50 fib. So when the retracement goes to 50 fib, your target becomes the -2.7. And look how the -2.7 is right here in that pocket of liquidity. So I like Link if it comes back into this zone. Of course, it's not an automatic buy there. We just have to see if the buyers step in there. But that would be my area of interest to add more positions to my Link position. All right, guys, before I do another one, let's just quickly talk about Pionex, because if you are not aware, we still have this bonus going on now. It's only 16 days left, and I just want to quickly explain it to you. So this bonus here, you get 50 USDT if you register, but you have to complete KYC2 to get this. KYC2 means uploading documents. So if you don't want to upload your documents, then don't worry about this one. It's only $50. Like, we'll live, okay? So just leave that one. Don't worry about it. The other ones are way better. The deposit bonuses are great. If you deposit 100, you get 100 futures grid bonus. 500 gets 300, 1,000 gets 500, 5,000 gets 800, and 10,000 gets 1,000. Now, the way that this works, like, usually get the bonus up to 72 hours after you've deposited. But the guys at Pionex know that our TTC tribe are very, very important people, and they're trying to push it through within 24 hours so you don't have to wait, okay? Now, the thing that you need to understand with these bonuses is that they're really designed like for you to be able to try out Pionex. So if you read the terms and conditions down here, you'll see that those bonuses will allow you to copy a bot. I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then when that bot hits either a 20% take profit or stop loss, the bonus, like, it will close that bot. So don't treat it as the bot you're setting up for life-changing money. Treat it as the bot that you're setting up to play around with the exchange and understand what's going on. And so at 20%, it will automatically close it. If there's a loss, it's no loss to you. A Pionex will absorb it. If it's a win, it will take the bonus back and it will give you the profit. So you get to keep that profit, and then you can go and use that on new bots without a bonus. And that is the one that you can run for the rest of your life if that's how your heart so desires. But these are the bots that we have going on right now. So most of them are in green. These two here, so Algo and Vet, I recompounded those. So these ones were up quite significantly, like they were doing pretty well, and they were towards the bottom of the range that I had set. So it was a perfect opportunity for me to take the profits from it and put it back into the bot. So that's what I've done with these now, which means I'm now, I've got more money in this bot, but it's not my own money. It's free money because it's profit. And so what that does is it resets it. And then because it's resetting it, it's now in the process of buying. So they'll be red while it's doing that buying, and then it will turn back to green when, you know, things turn around. Might be a while away, and I'm totally fine with that. All of these bots are low leverage. As you can see, they're only 3x leverage. These are long-term bots for me, as in when I say long-term, like alt season, if it comes, kind of bots, not like 4 years. And yeah, so this is what happens with bots, is they'll go red initially because they're doing the buying, and then they will turn into profits once, you know, the price starts to move back to the upside. These two here are high risk ones that are also new, so they're in the process of doing the buys as well. So the rest of them are not new. They've been going for a while, and so they've already done their buys and they're now moving into profits. So if you want to understand all of this, there is a link in the description of the video. If you want to copy my bots as well, you can. Everything is here. In case you're not aware, I have created a 100% free GridBot mastery course. If you need to understand how GridBots work, how to change settings, all that sort of stuff, just get the course because it's 100% free. Like, what do you got to lose? And then with that, you'll also get access to Discord channels where I keep you updated with what I'm doing with my bots. If you don't need that, you can just create your account on Pionex, get those bonuses that I told you about, and then where is it? Here, you can access all of my bot links, the links to my bots here if you want to copy them. And you can come into the Discord to see when I do updates. And that's only going to grant you access, however, as long as you have joined Pionex using my link. Now, I know a lot of you say, I can't use Pionex in my country. There are workarounds. Again, just come to the description here And did I put it in here? Anastasia, you bloody better. Here we go. I did. There's no one to blame if I didn't do it because there's no other team behind the scenes. It's just me on my own. But here, if you have KYC issues, restricted access issues, or if you have an existing Pionex account, just come and see this bit and it will explain to you what to do. You can still get in. All right. What else did you guys want to look at? What else did you want to look at? We already died in the bear. I can't die again. Don't worry. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was on Coin Bureau Trading Channel yesterday with Gabby, and we were talking about the cycle and when we think it's going to end. The moral of the story was it actually doesn't matter when this cycle ends. The main thing, like, people are so fixated on whether or not we're going to have an extended cycle, and I actually don't think that should be your focus. Like, I've said all this cycle that this isn't the cycle you have to worry about messing up. The next one is. And I think that whether this turns out to be an extended cycle or not, it's irrelevant. I think that the next bear market will be a short one. And so I think the chance to try again will come very quickly. And I really think, like, the thing that happens with the cycles is you've got the bull market where everyone comes in, the bear market where those people who didn't sell get wrecked, and then you have like this 1 year of accumulation period where everyone gets bored and they leave and they give up on crypto. And the people who make real life-changing money are the people who don't give up then. And your job now, because you're here now before the peak of the bull market, is to be that person that doesn't give up then. Because just think about it logically. If you were around, you probably were, but like, let's just pretend you weren't, right? If you were around when Bitcoin hit 15,600 or anything under 20K and you bought it, would you regret it today? Like, you 100% wouldn't. But how many people were around? Like, YouTube views were down, people were over it. People were saying crypto's a scam. Like, you know, it was a really tough time and there was pure boredom. So it's not even a matter of buying in a bear market. It's a matter of buying in the boredom market. The boredom, the accumulation that happens after the bear market has bottomed out. In the bear market, you can make a ton of money. I'm so excited for the bear market because when you are a trader, you have the skill of being able to make money no matter what direction the price is going. When you're an investor, you don't have that luxury. You've got to buy low, sell high in order to make money. But as a trader, you just short the market and you can make a ton of money. And I tell you, the moves to the downside are much larger and much more dramatic than moves to the upside. So you can really make a lot of money shorting the market. Then it gets to that boredom phase and all that money that you've hopefully cashed out of the bull market, but then also made on top of that in the bear market from future shorting with like low leverage, you then get to put back in the boredom phase when no one's paying attention to crypto. And then you just wait. And then you just wait. And this is why I'm saying if the bear market turns out to be a short one, it's a shorter period of time that you have to wait. So my advice to you right now is, I know you're so excited for the bull market. I know you want to make money before it ends. I know you want alt season. I know you want all these things, but I encourage you to please think ahead. Like, make your money now, 100%. I'll try to help you do that as best I can, but think ahead because it's not over. It's not over. Even when the peak formation comes in and it's the end of the bull market, who cares? There's still a crap ton of money to be made when the cycle turns around. You just have to be on the right side of the trade. All right. You got 2 rants out of me for the day. Like, how lucky are you guys? Hit the like button. Let me see, where are we at with the likes, by the way? The amount of likes will tell me if you like when I rant or not. 504 to 912 watching. I don't think you like when I rant. If you like it, smash the like button. Millionaires are made in a bull market. Billionaires are made in a bear market. Exactly. The bull goes up the stairs, but the bear jumps out the window. Pengu rant. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, let's talk about Pengu. So where is it? Where is it? Okay. So Pengu has my attention a lot right now. And I mentioned this briefly on yesterday's video. So I know that you were paying attention because you made that comment. And thank you. That warms my heart. So this formation, I wrote a blog on this on my website. And I'm pretty sure you can access it even if you're not a member. Let me just quickly show you. So on my website, which is linked in the description down below, you can go to blogs. And then you can go here and you can see Annie's, which I don't do many, but the rest of the team do heaps. Some of them you have to be a member to read and some of them you don't. So this one here, I did this blog on this exact strategy I'm about to show you. So just to give you a bit of context, basically what happened was in the last cycle, was the last cycle or 2 cycles ago? I can't remember. No, it would have been 2 cycles ago. I was part of another community. It was before TTC existed. And people were obsessed with trading coins like shit coins as soon as they got listed on Binance, because you would see this, right? This a massive, massive candle. And so they would stay up. And at the time I was living in Australia. So for us, it was like 4 a.m. when it got listed. And so people would stay up till 4 or 5 a.m. to try and get this move here. That is a 1 minute candle, right? And this chart here is a 1 minute chart. So very soon after that launch candle, the selling comes in and the price just bottoms right out. And what I know, this was happening time and time again. So you have to market buy, you can't limit buy. So people would stay up till 4 a.m. They're already tired. They market buy, they end up with an entry like here. And then within minutes, they're in a loss. And I would sit there watching these community crypto bros doing this. And I'm like, this makes no logical sense for me. Like I'd rather be in bed, than try to chase this really short-term money. And then what I realized was that if I just let that go, like let them get wrecked by that, there was a similar pattern that always followed this. And with enough patience, it paid off massively. And that pattern is what we're seeing now on Pengu. So look here, look, see, launch candle. Look at the launch candle, right? Look at that wick on that launch candle. It's crazy. Like this is a daily chart, but still, like that's crazy. And then the same pattern happens all the time, where after it's done that, it does this rounded bottom shape. And it takes a long time. This one has taken a long time. It's taken the whole year. But months, it can take months, 3 months. And so you literally just put it on your watch list and you just check it once a week. You don't have to rush into this strategy. But once that rounded bottom has finished, it then goes into a flag, which is what Pengu is doing right now. This is a cup and handle, right? So in traditional technical analysis, this is a cup and handle, and they work a lot. However, in this particular strategy, which I call the Binance listing strategy, they work exponentially well. Let's see if I have an example here. So see here, launch candle, sell off, rounded bottom, created the flag, and then do I have the end? Yes, look at the end result. So what was this coin? Oh, that was Pengu the first time it did it, okay? And it repeats it twice. I said here, there's a double feature. So once it's done the first one, and the first one gets to the top of the candle structure after the launch day, it builds another flag and it does it again, which is what Pengu is doing right now. So I think we should really keep an eye on Pengu. I think it doesn't even matter what it does. I'm just looking at it as a technical analyst. And in an ideal world for me, like you have to keep an eye on it at any time now, because this flag may not complete as a flag. But what I was saying yesterday was I hope that it doesn't break out, because I think the flag was looking like it was going to break out, but luckily we had the sell off yesterday and that brought it back into the flag. So what I'm personally watching is, from now, any signs of a double bottom or W formation within the flag, probably start looking for that on a 4-hour time frame. Or best case scenario, it actually completes the full flag, which means it should do something like this. So it means there should be more downside before there's a higher low. And if we're lucky enough to get this, we get an even lower entry. And then on the higher low is where you enter. And that should then lead to another explosive move. So don't forget this. I often do charts on this channel that give the really huge moves like this. Like this Pengu one here, this was what I gave on this channel. And that was a huge trade, right? But the thing with them is, they take a long time for the entry to present and then you forget about it. So don't do that. Set alerts on your charts. Have a specific watch list on your trading view that's like long-term plays, and just once a week, just go in and just quickly flick through them all and see if they're starting to come into your zone. But this is one I would start watching daily, honestly. And first look at the daily time frame. And then if it's looking like if it's starting to look a little bit bullish, go down to the 4-hour time frame, see if there's entries. Go down to the 1 hour. Like, the lower the time frame you can get the entry on when this is like ready to blast off, the better risk to reward you're going to have. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you got value from today. I'm going to start talking less about each coin so we can get through more coins. But if you had a good time, please smash that like button. Hopefully you're already subscribed. Have an amazing weekend. Don't forget to check out Pionex and grab that course if you don't already have it. And I'll see you guys on the next one.